Welcome back, Red Spotters, another show here on the Red Spotlight Entertainment Podcast. This is episode number 220. I'm joined today by Peter Martinez and Alexis Moreno. How are you guys doing today?
I'm pretty good. It was actually kind of a productive day.
That's new.
Yeah.
Peter?
No.
Not at all, no.
I mean, productive in the sense that I did like two things that I have never done before. Like, that's it.
So today's show is going to be a recap show in terms of the three of us getting reacquainted with, everyday life now as it is, staying inside our homes. We'll be discussing what we've been watching, what we've been up to. We might even have some recommendations as far as movies you can see if you haven't seen before. And then also the bulk of the show today is going to be dedicated to having a frank and honestly not very comfortable conversation about what the future of movies, the movie industry, and movie going is going to look like. The big headlines that we'll be discussing is whether or not VOD is going to be a viable platform going forward as far as money making. AMC Theaters declaring bankruptcy, or in talks, I should say, as the headline says by MovieWeb, in talks with lawyers to go about declaring bankruptcy. It's been a month, people. And then, of course, Bob Iger, and we never mentioned this, that Bob Iger had stepped down on this show before as far as the CEO of the company, but he has resumed majority control, and the company is now going to be very different, as he says, going forward with COVID-19. We're going to try and keep it light, but I think we're seeing every day now that the world that we knew is over, and we're now in this new world, and it's like, it's still kind of surreal. I was, out for a drive the other day, cruising, not getting off and going anywhere. I was just driving around my neighborhood, and just the mere sight of seeing just the people that are driving in cars with like full-blown masks on or hankies on or something, and it's like people are walking with medical masks, and it's like, oh my god, I guess this must have been like after 9/11.
That's what I was literally just thinking right now too.
Yeah, after 9/11, when like people were like, well, this is a new world and we have to adapt to new things. Mm-hmm. And I was listening to this podcast the other day, the Diz Unplugged, and they were talking about how, us Americans always like really questioned how in some Asian countries like China, wearing masks is just the norm. And maybe that could be the norm for us. I mean, I'm literally having conversations with family members about, well, whenever we get back to when we're allowed to go out, we already know that we're going to have to wear masks now. It's just part of everyday life. You have Dr. Fauci of the White House saying that you probably shouldn't shake hands ever again. I mean, we're talking about Disney thinking about having, taking your temperature before going into a park, if and when this is resolved. So how are you guys, coping with all of that? Are you guys like staying mentally sane?
Yeah. Yeah.
I've had days. I mean, like you said, it's been a month. There's been days where like it does get to me, but most of the time I've been fine.
Yeah, I'm there too.
I will say, like, I've gotten used to just thinking about everything I touch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, it's just always at the back of my head now. Like, anytime I go out, it's like, okay, I touch the steering wheel, I touch this. Okay, if I touch that, that means I gotta spray some shit on my hands. And it's like, it's kind of muscle memory now. And it'll be interesting to see if that sticks moving forward.
Touching my face, I've been very aware how much I touch my face.
Mm-hmm. That's the worst, because I need, oh shit, I hit the mic.
Don't fit the microphone. Oh god, I'm gonna have to tweak that, because that's gonna be,
it's gonna sound bad.
If you're listening on headphones, that's going to be like a punch in the eardrum. That's not a pleasant sound. It really isn't. But
leave it in. That's what they deserve.
Yeah, that give them what they want. If and when this is all over, in terms of Corona having subsided, and you do have to wonder, considering how self-conscious we are basically becoming as a result of this, if this is going to stick, not just like in terms of like in the middle of a pandemic, but just like in general, are we all just going to become a community of like full-blown germaphobes? Because I'll be honest, it's like, yeah, I'm thinking about that everywhere I go, even here. If I know some changes that whenever someone in the family, my family goes out for, for necessary groceries, and we're all on lockdown, like no one's leaving unless you're an essential worker or unless like we have to get like supplies.
Me.
That's the only reason we have to go out. And whenever groceries are brought back, like, like my family is wearing gloves and they're wiping everything down. They're like disinfecting wipes and everything. And it's like, and then if my mom's the one going out to go get it, she literally comes back, changes, and takes a full-blown shower.
Yeah, that's what we had to tell my dad and my brother to do. They have to like go in through the garage and leave their clothes in the garage and then run to the shower. But they get home like at 4 a.m, so like we're all asleep because they work nights. So like that's kind of good too, that they're like not like in full contact of like many people when they're at work. Right. But yeah, we told them like, like we're like me and my mom are doing like our part in like staying in and stuff and like, trying to keep each other sane. But like we told them like you guys have to like help out too. Like I know you guys are working and stuff, but like, yeah.
No, it's changing just every little aspect that you can think of. And we should mention the fourth member of our little group here, Kyle, is not here tonight because he is and has been an essential worker, apparently. Like, in fact, to give credit to Kyle, he's actually been working more in the pandemic than he ever was before. So, like, he's literally, if I'm not mistaken, he's only off for like 3 days out of like a 7-day work week. He's working 5 days a week. In the middle of a pandemic. And he just shared this photo the other day of him with like this big ass like handkerchief or like a bandana while he's at work.
Making damn pizzas.
He's making pizzas, yeah. All things considered, we're in, for people who are wondering, we're in the Western Hemisphere. We're literally in California. Some of us are in Arizona, which is next door to California. I don't think, because we keep in touch pretty often. I don't think any of our families have been impacted by this yet, right? Have you guys heard of anyone in your families?
No.
I have a friend who might have it.
Oh.
But we don't know yet.
Should take a test?
No, not yet. But yeah.
I know I have these cousins that are in aunt and uncle, and then also cousins that live in Missouri. And from what I understand, one was tested positive, but it was a mild case. He was working and then he was sent home because of a fever and a cough. So they had given him a test and he had tested positive. I know his wife was having a range of symptoms, but and it's been, I think, a week now since we found out about that, but so far they're okay. No one's been sent to the hospital or ICU yet, as I'm aware of, but I'm thinking at least 2 positive cases so far in my family. At least my extended family are concerned.
I know that some of my dad's friends, which they're pretty much like my aunt and my uncle because I've known them like my whole life.
Right.
But one of the wife's brothers went to, I believe, Italy sometime in the beginning of the year for their honeymoon, for his honeymoon. And they came back, and I guess like a few weeks ago they were tested positive. I don't know if they were like in critical condition or something. I mean, I hope not. But I know that the wife, she has like diabetes and like all these other like complications already. So I'm not sure how much like that has affected her. But yeah, that's like, I think that's like the closest that I know that's like somewhat like related. I mean, they're like not related, but you know, I know them. But yeah,
at least in the area that Peter and I reside in, so far, it's not a catastrophe, not bad yet. And we're fortunate for that, you know, for however long it lasts.
Real quick, because I know a lot of people like to talk shit about California. Fuck you, California's awesome. It is better than all your other states, mainly because California is much more progressive than most every other state. So, you know, they weren't a bunch of idiots and they got ahead of this thing, those in charge. And that's why we're doing a lot better right now as a state.
God, you shouldn't have said that because you just ignited something.
the professor's coming up.
Yeah, sit down, kids. Here's my rant for the day. It's because Gavin Newsom, and you know what? I'm not a particularly super fan of Gavin Newsom, our governor here in California. I mean, he, you know, but if he hasn't done the best job in the country so far, as far as like, you know, dealing with the pandemic, and he has, and it shouldn't be, because I feel like so far. Hold on, Governor Newsom has. I keep getting his damn name wrong. Governor Newsom has been doing what I feel is what every state should be doing. And in most cases, a lot of red states are dropping the ball and getting people killed. Let's just be real there.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that a lot of, including the president, but a lot of these, you know, governors in red states are, I think, directly complicit in a lot of people's deaths. But just to call out the Democrats real quick, because, you know.
Yes. We're fair and balanced.
We're fair and balanced. Only the Democrats would fall in love and start to fawn over the governor of easily the single worst state right now. Fucking, what's his name? Cuomo.
Andrew Cuomo,
yeah. New York, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, they're worse than literally every other place in this country, maybe the world at this point. And for some reason, the Democrats all started to fawn over him simply because he's on the television every day. And they never seem to connect the dots, you know. Why is it he's on the television every day? Because his patch of land that he looks over is doing the absolute worst out of everyone in this country. Maybe we should question why is that. But, you know, no.
Well, it's like, you know, not just to, you know, make this a purely political discussion, but just to broaden out the scope. I think all of us have seen a number of headlines in the last few weeks that have made us want to bash our heads into the wall in terms of how people have been acting, in terms of how certain people have been responding. I know Alexis, I mean, just to bring it down to a neighborhood level on us, or a community level, I know Alexis has shared, you know, some pretty eyebrow raising posts from people who are from our high school community, people who have done everything from fly off to a vacation in the middle of the pandemic, and who have also really, you know, been behaving like brats about, oh, this is being blown out of proportion. It's honestly crazy how there are still people who think that. We're in the Imperial Valley, where almost nothing touches our little, like, you know, Mos Eisley, Tatooine, like pirate, like hellhole, like nothing. I mean this, I mean that lovingly, by the way. Nothing ever like touches our small community, but this has, to the point where like almost 100 people now are confirmed, and to think that people are still like questioning, oh, this is being blown out of proportion. I
mean,
no,
it's so infuriating. when you have people that are like, oh yeah, like ghosts are real. I've seen them. I've interacted with them. Oh yeah, I believe the government is actually this secret thing. Blah 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 blah. Da 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 da. Like readily believes a lot of crazy shit. But then when it comes to this, where it's like literally fucking they've canceled all sports, like the economy's crashing, like people are dying.
Everything is closed.
Everything's closed. They're building mass graves. Well, I think people are just overreacting. And it's like, oh my God.
No,
are you for real?
Today, oh my God, I saw a video, a thing on, somebody like posted it on Twitter. Somebody was having, or like a group of people were having a protest about being on lockdown. Like, there was people in the streets being like, no, like, this is fake, blah, blah, blah. What?
Oh my God.
It's nuts. And it's like, I don't know. It's just like this, like, it's not just us. Like, I don't get it. Like, it's not just the US, Like, it's literally all over the world.
That is the single most stupid thing I have heard, after people literally having, and this was the title, a coronavirus party the first week of the lockdown. There was a coronavirus party, I think, in Kentucky, in which, of course, people were sick with coronavirus after.
Oh my God.
It's like people take pride in being difficult, or they need attention. I don't know what it is.
Well, the big thing,
I don't know.
The big thing in the early weeks was that Florida was just, proving the country why they're the worst in almost every single aspect. I mean, I'm sorry. I feel strongly that Disney shouldn't have thrown a party to close the parks when, disaster in the sky is falling. I get okay, this is the last day the park is going to close, but don't say that there was a party to close the parks and have it be that fucking full. The beaches were filled with people for I think 2 weeks after the fucking pandemic started hitting hard. Mm-hmm. Even here in California, it took, I think, Mayor Garcetti or Governor Newsom to, okay, you know what, fuck you guys. We're closing the beaches and the parks. I mean, we asked you the first week to stay home, and they had to say no. We're just gonna close them. It's just sad that people have to be forced into making the right decision, or at least to have some kind of sense.
And yeah, and it's like people are saying you can't force me, and it's like, well, they wouldn't have to if you would have just listened.
Yeah.
But it's like I
And I don't even think that they're doing enough to enforce
No,
it.
hell
No.
No. I don't think they're doing enough. First of all, instead of cops beating up people that they see not have a face mask, cops should be walking around with the fucking bags full of face masks, and every time they see someone that doesn't have one, handing them out to people to put on. There should be government agencies that are literally bringing people's food to their door, dropping it off, so that they don't have to go out to grocery stores and stuff like that. No one should be going to work except, essential workers. Pizza delivery men shouldn't be essential workers, by the way. No, but they shouldn't.
Yeah,
Kyle shouldn't have to
yeah.
still go door to door.
I don't. To be real though, I don't think he's delivering. I think they're staying put at the store.
It just shouldn't be open.
They shouldn't
be open. They shouldn't be open at all. But from what I understand, people are going to them, picking up their food, and that's that.
Yeah, but still,
it shouldn't be open at all. No.
They shouldn't be open at all. Everyone should be getting a minimum of $2,000 a month.
Not just one paycheck.
Yeah, not just one
or
payment.
not even that. Why can't, I don't know if this, I feel like I've seen it, other countries do it, but why can't they just shut everything down,
including rent payments and bills?
Yeah,
that's covered.
I feel like that would make more sense rather to spend all of this money to give to people to pay. I don't know, that just, I feel like we're gonna be in more trouble after that, because if it keeps going, Like, that money's gonna run out. We don't know when this is gonna end.
Well, other countries have literally shut the economy down.
Yeah. So it doesn't make sense to me. And, like, yeah, like, I don't know if I'm gonna be getting the money, but, like, I'm obviously gonna take it because I have bills and shit.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, I would feel much better not getting the money and not having to pay anything. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know. That just doesn't make any sense to me.
I feel really the core issue, and I don't want to say apologies to people who may say that this is becoming too political of a discussion, but it's not just political. It's just a real life and death issue. This pandemic has exposed two really critical things about our society. Exposed in that, I mean, not that I didn't already know, and not that any of us didn't already know this, but like it's really shown to us. Our government can't even function when there's a pandemic. And worse yet, our healthcare system is truly a shining star for how not to do healthcare.
Oh, yeah. That's one of the big things. Immediately, everyone should have been given a test. Everyone, not just
and what happened, Peter?
Systems.
What happened with that? Just to be clear, what happened? Why didn't we have tests earlier? Why was that? You know why?
It's all Trump.
But we're specifically the people at PBS are reporting that Donald Trump specifically in January did not want to have a mass-produced testing of coronavirus because he feared that would hurt his chances for re-election. That was the official reporting, so people understand that.
He wanted as few people positive as possible, and it's like, I shouldn't even try to explain why that's stupid because I think it's beyond obvious.
Yeah, I mean, as the recording we have, and I haven't looked at the latest number. I think we're close to 25,000 dead so far.
I mean, we're easily
COVID-19.
number one in the world.
And we're going to be that for a while. So, I mean, he made America great again in that regard.
USA, we're number one again.
Yeah. So promises kept, right? But yeah, 25,000 around there, maybe even close to 30,000 by the time this podcast is uploaded, dead.
That's nuts.
That's crazy.
And the goal is 200,000 dead.
How many people where you
infected?
guys are at? No.
Dead?
Like the population where you guys are at.
In terms of what?
Like just
infected?
Population. No, just
the population. I don't know.
Isn't it like 15 or isn't it like 30?
In like Brawley?
So yeah.
I think it's like 30.
So
it's
basically
like the entire
all of Brawley.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Wow, you really just put these into perspective. Our entire town, that's the size that it's as if our town would just like cease to exist. That's how many bodies are.
Actually, that's not true. Brawley population is 26,000, so it's more than the population. Yeah.
It's heading towards San Diego.
Yeah, it's getting El Centro. No, that's really bad. That's really, yeah.
Really, like, I know we're laughing, but it's just like...
This is just, I mean, we have to laugh because it's just, blatant stupidity, arrogance, and just, this is late stage capitalism at its finest. The fact that, admittedly, like, the fact that some corporations are doing the bare minimum in like, let's say Disney paid you guys for a month, Alexis, or T-Mobile or some cell companies are like, you get unlimited data for however long this lasts. The fact that those mild like tokens are like viewed on as why corporations are heroic versus, but then again, the competition is our government that just fails to function at any level whatsoever.
Yeah, I would say like I wouldn't expect the companies to do any of this. The government should be doing this.
Yeah.
And I think it's telling. But to speak to the whole late stage capitalism, I think it's telling that a lot of, and it's conservatives. Let's be real here, are saying that like no, you need to restart the economy. Everyone needs to go back to work because realistically more people could die if you don't restart the economy soon. And it's like, okay, even if what you're saying is wrong, but even if it were true, doesn't that show something? If the system in which we live in just literally falls apart after like 2 weeks of quarantine. Maybe the system sucks. Maybe it needs some reform. Maybe it needs some changes. You know, maybe you're proving that all of this is absolute crap. It's crazy. And to put in perspective, like 30,000 dead. I forgot to say this. 3,000 people died on 9/11. Yeah. And 9/11 was this like world-defining, changing thing. This is 30,000 dead. 30,000. And it's not like it's stopping. It's still moving. Can you imagine how different the world would be the next day if like some terrorists blew up 30,000 Americans? Like, there would be massive changes. Money would not be an option, right? Like it would be the next day, you know.
Yeah. People
right now, Congress is on a break. And they're not coming back, and I quote, it was something along the lines of, unless for like an emergency that they would come back.
This is
yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
I want to point out something to bring just to button this part of the show up. You know, in recent weeks, we've had members of Congress, governors of the conservative political persuasion that have openly, flat out, have said they'd be okay with sacrificing certain people if it meant starting up the economy. I think some commentators have said, you know, old people wouldn't want the economy to be bad for their children, so they'd be gladly to give up their lives. We've had big
that's horrible.
Christian churches who have defied stay-at-home orders and are having big masses.
These are the same people that cried about death panels, by the way.
These are the same people who, especially of the religious variety, who support the president who is a 3-time adulterer.
Yeah.
And, I mean, who had sex with porn stars. I mean, like, I just feel that at every turn, I'm not going to forget this. And it makes me so upset that...
If we haven't forgotten 9/11, there's, like, no way we're ever going to forget
Well, we're not going to
this.
forget Corona, but, like, you know, but the thing is, the thing about 9/11, we haven't forgotten the act, but I think a lot of people have forgotten the Patriot Act. The militaristic and imperialistic responses taken by George W. Bush in the aftermath, the failure of the war in Iraq, like, a lot of those things people have seemed to have just completely, like, fallen by the wayside. Those are disastrous things that have happened. And the thing that happens every single time is that we're shown repeatedly, and again, this is just me talking here, my opinion, but in every instance and point, I never will vote in my life for any Republican or any conservative, because every time, in every situation, they are the worst people to deal with anything. The fact that in public, you have these people who are encouraging people to go out and kill themselves in order to restart the economy. I had this, like, it's just so sad that we have, you know, these incompetent sociopaths in our government that worship money over human lives. I don't know what is going to take for people to wake up.
I at this point I don't know if there's any level at which shit can hit the fan. I don't know. Like I legitimately don't know. Because
President Trump has a great chance of getting reelected, and he's responsible for the many deaths that have happened in this country.
I would say directly responsible. And he has a fantastic chance of getting reelected.
Like, it's a sad statement when your best... No, it's a sad statement when your best hope is that enough people die to get people scared to vote him out of office. That's the best hope we got. This isn't going to turn into a fucking, like, you know, rally for Joe Biden, but it's like, hey, Not a fan of any of his policies. As I mean, they're too right for my taste. But
literally, I don't consider voting for Joe Biden. I just don't want Republicans to control this country for the next 50 years.
Which is the exact same thing that a lot of Republicans who didn't like Trump voted for him anyway because of the Supreme Court and all these other things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, I'm not voting for Biden because I want to vote for Biden. I'm just voting for Biden because, you know what? At this point, I don't think we can survive another 4 years of Donald Trump. People are literally dying right now.
I think we could. Well, whoever you deem.
I mean, collectively, yes, but I don't know if I'm going to survive another 4 years personally. I mean, shit, people are dropping like flies right now. It's crazy.
I just know that the Earth won't survive another 40 years of conservative rule. And that's, you got to look at the big picture. And
we
that's
haven't
the
talked about that.
picture.
I know this is getting longer in terms of this discussion, but we haven't even mentioned one of the most eerie elements of this pandemic. Alexis has been sharing, and I as well, images of just like animals roaming the streets because people are not outside. We're talking about pollution, going down dramatically for the first time in decades. Like, there's no smog in India where you can see the Himalayan mountains. There's no smog in LA. There were pictures of seals like on the streets, like wolves coming back into in Midtown, and it's like, whoa! Like, that's the part that kind of scares me the most. It's almost like nature is reclaiming their territory.
It's like that movie. I forgot what it's called.
The Day After Tomorrow?
No, it's like the plants are like trying to kill everybody because they don't like.
No, that one.
You know which one?
What's it called?
The Happening.
Yeah.
Oh.
M. Night Shyamalan. With Marky Mark and Zoe Deschanel. Zoe Deschanel, yes.
Zoe Deschanel.
Yeah, that's a funny movie.
What's happening?
I mean,
The Happening is happening.
Yeah.
yeah. I guess my thing is like, I don't know. I don't even know what to. I feel like a lot of people bring up that shit to be like pseudo deep or whatever. Like,
yeah, I know.
We're the disease. And it's like, go fuck yourself. I agree. We should do more.
Yeah, like it's clearly like effective, but to go as far as saying we're the disease, like, okay.
It's dumb.
Like I agree with you. Like, clearly, like something needs to happen after this to not go back to the way that we were.
Yeah, but I feel like I could just jump into like a million different green policies that I would like to see enacted. One of the biggest ones, and I don't know. Well, I mean, I know why, but I would love that. This is something I would love to see within my lifetime. Is high-speed rails. I think high-speed rails are the fucking jam. High-speed rails interconnected across the entire U.S. where you can like hop on a high-speed rail right in California, go to New York for the night to eat, and then fucking be back home a few hours later. Like just like economic and green transportation for the whole country. I just think it's like a no-brainer. So not everyone is out there with a car.
Literally almost every single policy platform that, Bernie Sanders put out there when he was running for president, to my sensibilities, it's a no-brainer. To most Americans who vote, i.e. older people, it's like it's like, socialism reincarnate, or I don't know, Stalin or whatever.
I don't think I've ever talked about this on here, but I'll talk about it. My grandmother, who's in her 80s currently, when she was younger, she used to work for a doctor's office, sort of like an assistant. And she tells me she remembers when they first were introducing Medicare. And like the doctor being like, "Oh, this is socialism. This is this. This is terrible. This is that." And then she's like, "But once it passed, who was the first one in there signing up people for Medicare so he can bring in people to what's into his practice. It was the doctor. It's a tale as old as time, I have to say, and it's always bullshit. The same people that were screaming about how terrible Obamacare is, were the same people screaming not to have their Obamacare taken away from them. Like,
yeah.
Oh boy. Yeah, so, it's been an interesting few weeks, and as we transition to the next part of this, discussion, we should also just talk about, what we've been doing to keep ourselves busy. Me personally, I've been rewatching a lot of older films to prepare for shows like Pixar and Disney. But more recently, I've actually been delving into particularly one filmmaker's films that I hadn't seen, and then rewatching others, and then some classic movies. So let me see here. I rewatched. Well, actually, no. For the first time ever, I actually sat down and watched the original Wizard of Oz the other day.
oh, that's
The
right.
original.
You're a fake fan.
Wait, what?
The original Wizard of Oz. I've seen like many different
No, the
parody,
original is the one you should have seen. Yeah, that's
Wait.
it's
But
reason to be mad.
Wait.
Go off,
Like-
go off.
Like Judy Garland original?
Yes, the Wizard
But
of
you've
Oz.
seen others.
I've literally seen like almost every rip-off version of that movie, like Muppets or Tom and Jerry or whatever, like that kind of crap.
You
The
disgust
same
me.
story. Yeah, I mean,
Did you like it?
It was great.
Okay.
It's a classic movie.
That's
I don't
all
know what
she
I mean,
cares about.
but it's like I've seen the story before. That's the thing, these
It's
stories
not
I
the
got.
same.
Of course, it's not the same. No, it's not. It's actually because I actually we had it on our digital locker, but I upgraded to the 4K version so I could see it restored, and it was beautiful.
You
Honestly,
should watch
beautiful.
Return to Oz.
On Disney Plus, I considered it. I hear
It's-
people like it's a cult classic.
Hey,
It's
guess what?
interesting.
It's better.
Whoa.
It's interesting.
It's better.
Yeah, so The Wizard of Oz, it's kind of the perfect movie for like these times. And I mean, I think to me, what I think there's a lot to like about the movie, but Judy Garland was just so captivating as Dorothy. Like,
I want to watch
and-
the movie that they did on her.
oh yeah, Judy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not necessarily about her whole life, but it's about the last few months. It's good. It's BBC. They do a good job with those biopics, but it's strange to me. Like the whole time I was thinking, like, how did Walt Disney not make this movie? Because this is exactly the kind of movie he would make. And I think I was watching a clip of the movie, and they were saying that the movie kind of got upstarted because Walt Disney made Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and MGM was like, well, we can make something like that.
Yeah.
And it was successful.
Also, that book was written in Coronado.
Have you read the book?
No.
There's a
I
lot of beheadings.
Oh, that's nice. Oh, that was like the only fun fact I know about that movie. Well, no, it's not. I used to watch a lot of shows like that would go into like because I know the props and stuff are like really big and like I don't know, Hollywood, I guess.
Oh. Do you guys? Oh, go ahead. I'll say it after.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was gonna say, do you guys know about the like, I don't know what it's called, like film museum that should be opening now?
He mentioned it a few months back, but there had been a film museum that was going to open up. But is that still going to happen now?
I mean, eventually. I don't know I don't think it was supposed to open up like soon, but it was supposed to open up, and it's like in LA, I think, and it was part of, I don't know if it was part of the Smithsonian or something, but it's about films. And the ruby slippers are going to be in there. The
Wow.
refurbished Brucey from Jaws. Like,
Oh,
shit!
I know
hit
that,
the mic again. I'm sorry.
I know there was a show on Netflix. I don't think it's on there anymore, but it was like, I forgot the name of it, but it was basically this guy who auctioned different like movie
Memorabilia?
props. Yeah. And his like favorite movie of all time was The Wizard of Oz. So he, like those are the ones that he would like try to find the most of. And I know that in one episode he went to, oh crap, I forgot her name. Princess Leia's mom. I forgot her name.
Oh, Debbie Reynolds.
Yeah, he went to go to her house and she had this giant warehouse of like just like a bunch of like movie props and stuff. Like I think she had Marilyn Monroe's like white dress and she had a bunch of stuff for like The Wizard of Oz and stuff.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. So I feel like they might have gotten a lot of stuff from her. Like for the museum. Yeah.
So I also I've been catching up on Spielberg that I hadn't already seen before. I mentioned previously that I saw Minority Report. I've since seen, for the first time, So for the first time, I've also seen Munich.
Ooh.
And AI.
Oh,
and
okay. AI is controversial.
It is. Fuck them, though. And Empire of the Sun, which features the debut performance of Christian Bale as a 12-year-old kid. Yeah. Really heavy movies. Like Spielberg is not like seen as the guy who like deals with heavy like material, but that, I mean, all those
all
movies
three of those
pretty...
are pretty heavy. I think the heaviest is Munich.
Yeah, it was kind of hard to watch at some point. I was watching that yesterday. I mean, all of those movies I mentioned, I think, were just great, but they were pretty heavy. We can have so many discussions. Unfortunately, this may not be the space to have those discussions because there's so many movies, but the one that I loved all of them, but I will say I think the one that I wasn't expecting to love, but I loved the most was actually AI.
Yeah. I actually really like AI too. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but I remember watching it when I was a kid. But I do really, really like AI.
It's on Amazon Prime right now. So if you have Prime, go watch AI, Artificial Intelligence. Honestly, I feel it's really underrated. And I was like reading up on the whole like controversy. Whoa, there's some hard feelings there from a lot of people.
But the whole thing where it was like sort of a brainchild between him and what's his name?
Stanley Kubrick.
Stanley Kubrick is so interesting.
It really is.
Just because they're like as different of filmmakers and different of people as can be. But you could tell they sort of like had a love and respect for each other, that they wanted to
They were friends.
Yeah.
They were close friends. Yeah.
They wanted to make a film together, but it's like, it's this clashing of just two different, massively different people. And I guess for some people it just doesn't gel for them, but I really liked it.
I also rewatched War of the Worlds. I think I actually watched down the whole movie from beginning to end for the first time. I've seen like big parts of the movie, but not for like from the very beginning to the very end. War of the Worlds is actually like one of my least favorite Spielberg movies. But that being said, I kind of like every Spielberg movie, so I'm not really like, to the point where it's like I don't like it. I actually really think it just reminds me that no matter what he does, like especially the older movies, he's just really a great storyteller. And he really executes a lot of those big movies really, really well. Like War of the Worlds was like, and I also noticed between War of the Worlds, Minority Report, and AI, there must have been something about the 2000s where everything had to be like brightly lit in those movies, like bright white lights in a lot of those movies, which all came out in the same time.
Shit changed for him once he hit the 2000s, I'm telling you.
Well, I think 9/11 was a big thing.
I think it was.
Happened.
I think 9/11 impacted him more than anyone would have thought.
There's a lot of a pretty overt 9/11 imagery, and especially War of the Worlds. There's like a plane, the dust.
But it's not only there. Like it's obviously in Munich,
right?
And like in like a lot of other areas and other films. So, yeah.
We'll be discussing, and maybe we'll do a Spielberg Files later in the year. I'm gonna do my best to watch all of them now. I have
that would be easier because for sure I've seen all of those.
yeah. And I mean, he's made a lot of movies, so it's not really a small feat.
You know, it's the one I don't think I've seen is the comedy one. What was it? Like
Always?
19. No, wasn't it called like 19?
Oh, 1941, the failed one, the one that was like a big disaster for him. Yeah, I'm not sure I want to see that. It just it doesn't look good to begin with. So, Peter, you've been watching Disney Plus stuff.
Well, currently, I feel like
real quick. I don't mean to cut you off again, but like as far as Disney Plus, there was some spaces where I was so bored, I literally watched the Dolphin Reef documentary on there.
Oh God.
Yeah, it got bad at some points, so
I mean,
that's
the fact that Disney Plus doesn't have the entire catalog kind of, I think, is dumb. Of like Disney's entire catalog. Like I feel like it's you have one job to provide Disney stuff and you can't even do that.
The Coco concert was pretty great too.
Oh
that
my
Alexis
God. I love it. I saw it twice.
The live at the Hollywood Bowl. Great performances, really great. I didn't know Jaime Camil could sing.
Really?
He's great. Yeah, I don't know much about him except for like some novellas and like some roles, but like he sang really well. So yeah,
my mom was so mad. He was like, "Why isn't Alejandro Fernandez here?" And I'm like,
"Oh my
he
God,
plays a character in the movie." Duh. It's so funny. But yeah, no, I saw it like the other day, like the first time I texted you guys, and yeah, like I thought it was great. And then my parents, they were in the garage because they like cleaned the garage or something. Like they were going through like pictures and stuff. And my dad kept coming like in and out of the house because he was drinking. And he kept like stopping to like look at it because like they were playing like really good songs. And then the next day I told my mom like, hey, like you should watch this. Like it's really good. They have good songs. And also like the costumes are like really good. Because like how they dressed like in the whole show, that's how my mom dresses.
Oh really?
Yeah. So we watched it and like both of them were like super into it, so it was cool. And then like she knew like most of the people in there, so that was nice.
Yeah, so I definitely recommend hell, I'll even recommend Dolphin Reef and then the Coco concert for things on Disney Plus. Also Waking Sleeping Beauty, amazing documentary film. Go watch that as well. Go ahead, Peter.
I feel like I just sort of get into doing different shit every single day, and like I don't know, like I can't stick to one thing, but I'm and I like I've watched a lot of random shit, but I'm gonna stick to the current thing I'm doing just because I have a goal in mind. I think I need goals just to not wander off into other shit.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I just randomly got into doing tier lists. I think because I was just bored. And
we've been doing like a marathon of tier shows for a while. I mean, for the last few weeks, we did top 10 of the year, top 10 of the decade, Pixar ranked, Disney Princess ranked. I mean,
but I think a few days ago, I had sent you guys like 4 different lists of tier.
Oh, I ignored them.
I know you did.
I ignored them completely. I acted as if they didn't even exist because, like, why the fuck should I care?
There was one where you put, like, 2 movies and then the rest are, like, at the way bottom. But I forgot what it was, but that was
the DC.
Oh, yeah. But you forgot to include Harley Quinn.
Oh, yeah, I know. I forgot to include Harley Quinn. That one would have been up there in the good category. But so I decided to do a tier thing for the Disney animated films, Walt Disney Animation Studios specifically. So that's the 58 films currently that has come from them. So, but it also gives me specifically also because it gives me a reason to go back and look at a lot of old shit on Disney Plus that I haven't seen in such a long time. Like,
Well,
some of
that's
it
I think the
since.
best part about Disney Plus is the entire collection, as far as the animated feature films, are all there.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. The only good shit is the old shit, as far as I'm concerned. um, so like today, I saw The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr.
And Mr. Toad.
Toad.
Wow, that's a deep
Um,
cut.
I saw both Rescuers. The
Oh, I
Rescues.
still have yet to see those movies.
Re-
Either of the Rescuers. Yeah,
Stop.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest, like I'm not a fan of the
I mean,
the second one, but I was a huge fan of the first one when I was little.
Oh,
Like I would watch it all the
really?
time.
I
Yeah.
thought the second one was better than the first, from what I heard anyway.
I was so like I remember when I was little and like they told me like because I don't remember like what year that, but I think it was like early on in the 90s that this movie came out. But when they told me that there was a second one, I was so mad. Keep in mind I was maybe like 4 or 5 years old.
wait, why?
Because they made a second one and it looks so different from the first one and I was like,
'Cause
no, this is
the first
no.
The first one came out in 1977, and this one came out
I
in
know,
1990.
but this is like my 5-year-old logic. But like, I was just so mad that they made it look that way
Yeah.
because I really liked the first one like a lot.
You're not gonna like my tier list then. um, you're not. It is interesting though that The Rescue is Down Under. It was literally in between
Little Mermaid,
Little
I think, and then Beauty and the Beast.
And Aladdin.
and Beauty and the Beast.
Oh yeah.
So it's kind of just completely forgotten by most people.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I watched specifically those 3 today. I'm trying to see what other ones I want to rewatch. Fucking Home on the Range.
Oh God, that is like
I
notorious.
don't remember that. Like I know I've seen it, but
Yeah.
no.
Home on the
like,
Range
memory
is
of
literally
it.
the poster child for the
Bottom barrel.
fail.
Yeah.
Really, bottom of the barrel.
I like Oliver and Company, The Great Mouse Detective, The Aristocats, and then some of like the more musically inclined ones, like the Three Caballeros.
Yeah, the ones that I recall the least
Melody
were the
Time.
ones in between the 90s and the 60s.
I watched Melody Time the other day.
Mm-hmm.
It's like which one? Wait, was it that one? Is that the one with Johnny Appleseed?
I think so.
Oh, you haven't watched it?
I can't remember. Well, see, the thing is, like, I know for like a period of time, like after Snow White, like a little bit after that, it was just like straight up nothing but like musical films.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like it was all about the music.
It was, I think, after it was like in between Pinocchio and like Dumbo, maybe Bambi or like Peter Pan, because it was like during the war, so they couldn't be releasing movies. And they did like the shorts because I know like the Saludos Amigos, whatever.
Yeah, the Saludos
That
Amigos.
was when he went to go. I guess like what it has like a specific word, but it was basically like to get people to distract people from go to like a Nazi rally or something. So he made those movies. Yeah. So like I like that era because it has like such a cool like history. But like they obviously like it. They just like shit them out.
Yeah, like there's no narrative thrust to them at all.
Yeah.
Really, it's just like cartoons.
Yeah.
And music. But yeah, it is interesting, and that's the stuff that like no one watches. You know.
But after you watch, I think it's Melody Time. I like the names get mixed up, but after you watch the Johnny Appleseed thing, you have to like say what you think because I did like I remember that when I was little, but like watching it like 2 weeks ago, it's wild.
Is it wild?
Like it's very religious. Like insanely religious.
Disney, I feel like, has always had some like religious ass overtones to some of their
like
animation.
even like I feel even more than like The Hunchback.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I need to rewatch it because I have no recollection. Let me see. There's a few other ones. I have to say, like just looking at the list, the 2000s, man, they're fucking killing it. Early 2000s. That was a better year. Those years, I know financially weren't the best, but they were better than what people gave them credit
yes,
for.
there were I think some of the most inventive in the whole lineup of Disney animation, because you had Lilo and Stitch, Emperor's New Groove, you had Treasure Planet and Atlantis. Yeah.
But even some oddball ones like Dinosaur.
Yeah.
That was weird.
Yeah.
I remember that movie. That was a weird movie.
Like I recently rewatched it and I was like, I like this. It's fucking
I remember
weird.
liking it too. Yeah.
I can't. You know what movie my brother loved when he was little?
Brother Bear?
The Country Bears. No, he loved Dinosaur. But the Country Bears.
The live action movie.
The live action.
Yeah, he would make me watch it all the time.
That shit's creepy.
It is. Yeah.
No.
And I thought Dinosaur was creepy because I'm not a fan of dinosaurs.
I remember really liking the Haunted Mansion movie with Eddie Murphy.
You know what? I enjoy it.
Yeah.
I actually really, really enjoy it.
But then again, like the 2000s were like, that's our time, right? There were a lot of cheeseball movies that came out in those years that I loved so much. Like the Scooby-Doo movie that came out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But it is difficult sometimes to go like, is this nostalgia or is this, or do I really like this? But there is a lot of films that I grew up with where I'm like, no, that shit sucks. Like, I mean, not to go too hard on it, but fuck Brother Bear.
No, yeah.
It's not terrible. It's just boring. Like,
yeah,
there's really not much to it. And like, there's the early 2000s was hot, but like the later 2000s sucked.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like they were bad. Like it was Disney trying to do a DreamWorks impression. Because because at that
Shrek.
point, because at that point Shrek had taken over, and DreamWorks was doing better animation at that point. So then, like fucking Chicken Little, like you could tell they were just throwing shit at the wall and like trying to.
I mean, you forget. I mean, I forget anyway that DreamWorks actually had a presence in the 2000s because of Shrek. It kind of catapulted them into relevancy, whereas Disney was really falling by the wayside.
They were just falling apart at the seams.
It's like so crazy though, because they had such a high in the 90s and then just like completely.
They really just crashed. They crashed.
Like right when they did Fantasia 2000.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was it. Mm-hmm.
And then just gone.
Which also it's the mid to late 2000 movies that I think it got, like from Home on the Range and Chicken Little, where I think, and Brother Bear is where the quality, it was just deteriorating. But like Lilo and Stitch and Emperor's New Groove and Atlantis and Treasure Planet, by all accounts, were very good movies. It just they just were box office duds.
They just weren't hit. They just weren't connecting with people at that time. But those are films that I feel are just genuine. They are good films.
Right.
Was it maybe just like they were just burnt out? Because I mean, if you think about it, like even if you think about like the 80s and like maybe like the 70s, like the amount of movies that they came out with in those times were nothing compared to how many they made in the 90s. Like, because it was a lot. You know?
And I don't remember any of the movies in the 80s. I don't remember Sword in the Stone.
It was The Black Cauldron,
The Fox and the Hound,
The Fox and the Hound, Roger Rabbit, The Great Mouse Detective, The Little Mermaid, and I think that's it, maybe. And then like
Oliver
the 70s.
And Company.
Oh yeah, Oliver and Company. So like, what, 5 compared to like Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, Mulan, Hercules, The Lion King.
Oh yeah, Hercules
like,
too. Hercules,
you know what I
was
mean?
the shit. And you gotta remember.
I was never a big fan of Hercules.
Yeah, fuck you. But people back then weren't as nostalgia. Like the obsession with nostalgia is a recent phenomenon. I feel like very
because
recent.
we have the ability now to go back. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
whereas at that time they're just like, okay, we've seen it. But the Shrek thing, though, you know. Yeah. And
I remember really liking. I saw this. No, go ahead, Peter. Sorry.
no,
ahead.
go.
I was saying that, and to bring up movies that came out in that era that people might want to revisit. I, at the time, and even still today, although I haven't seen them in ages, I watched someone's video essay about this weird era. Remember those like 4 direct-to-DVD, the early 4 direct-to-DVD Scooby-Doo movies? Like
those,
Zombie Island.
Those were incredible. I love
Cyber
those.
Chase, the aliens, the witches. Those 4, like those were great.
Yeah.
I think Scooby-Doo Zombie Island is like a legit great film. Like I love that fucking movie.
That scared the shit out of me.
There was one where they were like in a house with a bunch of ghosts or something.
That's every Scooby-Doo episode ever.
No, but like they were
you gotta
actual
be more specific
ghosts.
though about that.
You gotta get
Unless
weird.
The
I'm,
witch's
like,
ghost?
thinking of something else. Hold on.
There's
keep
the
talking.
witch's ghost,
I
the
need
alien
to-
invaders, the cyber chase one, and the Zombie Island, which were all directed by the same person.
But I think as a kid I was really into Scooby-Doo. So like
Yeah,
that was my
but
shit.
I especially loved those movies with Scooby-Doo. And yeah, there were other ones that came after, but those 4 were the main ones that, it's like incredible to think that Scooby-Doo direct-to-DVD movies, I think, were better than a lot of the feature releases from Disney. Remember, like Disney also had the direct-to-DVD sequels that came out in the early 2000s.
Oh, okay. Like, if going off of what Miss Moreno had said earlier about like, fuck this, I hate that this is a sequel for the Down Under. Like, I hate it. I was never okay with any of the sequels. I hated the idea of the direct-to-DVD sequels.
A lot of Disney fans did as well.
Even the Aladdin ones? To be fair,
Even-
I don't think I've seen the Aladdin ones, but like not.
All of them were trash. To me, it's like, no, you're one and done. And not only that, but like the sequels, they were noticeably lower quality. Like as
There
a
you go.
kid, I could tell.
Scooby-Doo and the Ghoul School.
I do not know.
Oh, that was actually even older. That was from the early 90s. That was the one I think with
1988.
Shaggy, Scoob, and Scrappy, right?
I think so.
Yeah. There were some like there was also like a werewolf one. Like those were from the early 90s. That's even 10 years before. Yeah, I remember that one. Peter, remember that movie?
No, I don't remember that one.
No, she's showing you a screen cap of it. Look up on your screen. Go back, Alexis.
No.
The ghouls. No, you've had to. That
this
was
one
great.
was my favorite.
Yeah. It's one of the ones with Shaggy with a red shirt. That's all I remember.
Yeah.
I remember when
So-
he would wear a red shirt, and it was like blasphemy.
No, yeah. The only one that I like is like the Little Mermaid one, but like because it's a Little Mermaid.
I mean,
But
it's a Little
other than
Mermaid,
that,
yeah.
like I think the ones that I was like most offended by was with the Rescuers one and the Peter Pan one.
You know what? Funnily enough, those two were the only ones that caught my interest. Because like the Rescues from Down Under was an actual it was actually made by Walt Disney Studios, and it wasn't like
And then
the
Return to
tune-
Neverland.
And Return to Neverland. I remember Return to Neverland actually had a fantastic trailer for
It did.
for the movie.
It did. I will give it that. But I hate. Oh my god! I hated like the main character in that movie. Like I wanted to punch her.
I did.
Jane.
She was such. Oh my god! I hated her, and so it just made me hate the movie.
I don't remember the movie, but like I remember the trailer, and the trailer was
She
great.
she was the one that was like, no, like Peter Pan's not real. Blah blah blah. You need to grow up. Oh.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's okay. I don't know.
You
I
know,
don't
like,
remember the movie.
Kyle and Alexis are the big Peter Pan fans here, and I have a hard time keeping track of which ones they like or don't like. Did you like the Spielberg movie Hook?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's great.
Alexis.
Oh, her. Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to say yes. I'm just asking, like, what's your honest opinion of that movie?
And if it's no, please say no, because it'd be worth it just to see, have Kyle hear it.
Kyle, I'm sure already knows. Like, I mean,
I don't think he does. I don't think we've ever talked
does.
about it.
Yeah.
Really?
Honestly, I didn't watch it till recently, maybe like a year ago or 2 years ago.
Oh, okay.
It was okay. I was more of like the one that came out in 2003.
Oh,
like I could recite that movie like word for word.
Kyle adores that one too.
He adores all of them except the newer one that came out, the Pan movie. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I am interested to see the
new one.
Yeah, the like realistic one. I am interested in that one. No, but I've always
Wendy?
really liked. Yeah, Wendy. But I've always.
I thought you were referring to the remake they were doing at Disney.
They're doing a remake?
Yeah.
Aren't they doing a Peter Pan Alice in
Tinkerbell.
Wonderland crossover remake thing or something like that? That's what I heard, that it was Alice and Peter were going to be in the same movie together.
I thought it was a Tinkerbell movie.
I think we're talking about
all of the above.
Projects.
No. Peter Pan is one of those things I feel has been done to death.
Oh,
where
yeah.
If you're going to do it again, you got to do something radically different. Like, I would watch, like, a rated R Peter Pan. Where it's
I like parts of Hook, but overall, it's not as great as I wish it. There was, I think, a point in the movie where it could be great, but I think everyone agrees that I think it's a good film.
I don't like that he grows up. Like, it gets me mad.
Oh, okay.
No, I love it. I don't know.
You do?
Yeah.
All parts of it.
Hook.
Oh, okay. I mean, there are parts.
Also, yeah. I think also, when I was little, I didn't watch it because I don't know if maybe I thought it was the same movie or something, but I don't know if you guys remember that Pinocchio movie with like the live action one with Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
No, I stayed far away from anything.
Oh, that movie creeped me out like so bad. So I think I don't know if, like I said, I don't know if I thought it was maybe like the same movie or something, but I kind of stayed away because it looked the same to me for some reason. But yeah.
No.
Wow. Yeah, any other things to say about Disney Plus, Peter, before we move on?
Oh, I kind of hate it, and this is why. Let me see if I can pull the story up. It was right fucking here. Disney Plus removes Daryl Hannah's butt from Splash with bad CGI.
Oh, all of the stuff.
And I've talked about this before, but Disney Plus goes like overtime in censorship of like just about everything. Like, they've removed certain episodes of The Simpsons. I don't even know this, but I just recently found this out. Like, what? Fuck! I just watched it. What's it called?
Lilo and Stitch.
No,
I know they
no.
changed something in there.
The show, Gravity Falls.
Yeah.
Yeah. Grunkle Stan, like the symbol on his hat, they like removed it completely, but only the first 15 episodes, and then it's there for like the rest. Like, they're being. Oh, and then of course they like removed certain scenes from like Toy Story. Like, they go overtime to remove so much shit and to sanitize everything. And it's
the one that really I think is in your face is that every single time you press play to watch a movie on Disney Plus, literally on like the top left-hand corner, it says something about this movie contains nothing about, or says something about tobacco, or tobacco this or tobacco that, or smoking this, and like literally no one but fucking Alan Horn gives a shit about tobacco being depicted in the movie.
Honestly, I wouldn't care if that was all they did. They just said, hey, this film contains this, this, and this. Watch at your own risk.
They were doing that in the beginning. I mean, I know that, like, the one thing that I noticed from the beginning was the Lilo and Stitch one, and like the Simpsons, how they make it like smaller, or like it's not like the right.
It's not the right aspect ratio.
Yeah. But like with Dumbo, they didn't change anything. They just added like that sign in the beginning, which I think is fine. Like, I don't know why they didn't just keep doing that.
Yeah.
I think it goes back to them just having an identity crisis. Because I think one of the things that we hadn't talked about, but it was being reported, was that Bob Iger, one of the factors of why he wanted to step away from being, in charge of everything, was because they recognized that Disney Plus was they needed to develop more things, and they were having problems getting things off the ground. To me, I think it's just a stupid situation all around, because, I mean, how many things have been canceled and have been shut down? The whole Lizzie McGuire thing was just a fucking disaster, and it's all their fault. I don't understand. Like, literally, I think no one would care if they just...
Or they should have like the option how they do in like Netflix to like have like the kids one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think like there's a lot of stuff out there that Disney could be, adding to their whole vault on Disney Plus, like the whole 20th Century, the ABC programs, the FX stuff, like all that could literally be on there, but they choose not to because of the brand.
Yeah, you can't own literally everything and then try to maintain the brand. Right? Because you're going to own some things that are not part of the brand, and they shouldn't be part of the brand. That's part of the selling point of them, And it seems like instead of embracing that and saying like, just trying to do what they actually should be doing and naturally transition over and widen the scope of their brand, they're trying to double down and change a lot of art. And I guess it pisses me off because it's like, for most people, this is the first time and the only time how they're ever going to see a lot of these films and shows. And it's going to be kind of butchered. Like, I don't know. For the people that gave all that shit to George Lucas, why are you not giving any sort of shit towards Disney for this?
I think Disney fans are a lot more forgiving than Star Wars fans in every aspect, first and foremost, whether they should be or not.
Yeah.
But I also remember reading that that they were going to send out a survey to Disney Plus subscribers if they would be okay with more adult-oriented content. And I'm just like pulling what little hair I have out of my head left, because like, guys, it doesn't have to be this hard. It really doesn't. Just make the damn show. Like, literally, just do it.
And like, in the same way that Netflix orients, like, this is, the regular section and this is the child section, you can literally have the opposite. You can have, this is Disney Plus and this is the adult section. So, this is where you might have a little bit more risque content.
That's where Titanic is at.
Yeah, this is where we have Titanic at. And instead of just cutting the scene, the saucy scenes, or blurring it in a really shitty way, you just have the film, And just
what I was thinking the other day is, like, all Disney does is remakes and revivals, right? Well, if they incorporated a lot of the history of ABC and what they own now through 20th Century, they could literally do like revivals and or sequel series to Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Firefly if they wanted to, and that would attract a lot of attention.
It would. It really, really would. I mean, I really think that Lizzie McGuire show would be a fucking huge selling point for them.
That was like the one that everybody was excited for. Like, even more so than like The Mandalorian or anything Marvel. Like, it was the Lizzie McGuire show. Especially
if you did it the way what's her name said, is fucking have it be an adult show, and it's following her as an adult with adult problems. But it's the same character, like it's perfect, because it's like, who are you selling this to? You're selling this to the people that grew up on it. The people that grew up on it probably aren't going to want to watch another kids show. They're going to want to watch a show oriented towards them. Like, I don't know, just from a money perspective, it gets me mad when from like a monetary perspective it makes sense as well. Like I get like there's so many projects I want to see get made, but they probably wouldn't make that much money, so it's like fine, whatever, I get it. But when you don't make a project that would bring in all the cash, like what's wrong with you? Just fucking do it.
And also, like, if you need programming, there are a litany of shows in the history of Disney that have been canceled for terrible reasons. You could bring back Girl Meets World and make it more adult. You can bring back and finish off
very adult.
Agent Carter. Agent Carter could finally come back and have its finale. Like, there's a lot of shows out there.
I'll watch the shit out of a new Don't Be Afraid of the Dark series. As long as you don't sugarcoat that shit, you know, make it.
There's so many great ideas for shows. It shouldn't be this hard. Like the Calrissian Chronicles that you were sharing.
Yeah, just fucking do it. Like, it's so easy. Just bring back Childish Gambino. Do a show. You can even have Billy D narrate like the show, like him you can start the show like first episode him like reminiscing at some table, blackjack table, like, let me tell you here a little something sunny about my adventures. You know, he's talking to like some other bounty hunter. He's just telling him stories about his life, and then boom, that's the whole show. You cut back to Donald Glover as Lando, and week to week you go on adventures with him, and it's like fun.
If they had prepared enough content in time, this would have been a really great year for Disney Plus and getting people like talking about their content. Imagine if they had an Incredibles TV series and it was premiering tomorrow. Mm-hmm. How much attention that would get.
Everyone would be watching that shit, and you could have it like 2D animated. It'd be great. It'd be fun.
Yeah.
I just maybe I'm wrong. I've never held any sort of position for these kinds of jobs. It just feels like it's easy. It just feels like creating programming for this kind of shit is really easy. And I don't know why it appears to be difficult for them.
Right. And that being said, and people to keep this in mind, we're talking about, you know, all this should have been made up pre-coronavirus, right? Because now we're in a time where the money is just not going to be there to do as much as they wanted, but it should have been there in the first place.
Now they don't have the money to be spending on this shit.
So I think that'll create a lovely transition to talking about Bob Iger and the Disney company as a whole. You know, we had talked about, you know, for years and years and years, you know, how they were just the kings of the box office. And, you know, I think they had like $5, $6, $7 billion grossing films easily in 2019. But now theaters are shut down. There's no money being made off movies. There's no money being made off Cruise Line or the parks. Those are all shut down and are closed. I think I saw a headline that Disney as a company is losing $30 million a day and there's no money going in. Like, to me, I don't anticipate it getting to a really bad place where the company is going to be sold off or acquired. And I feel that's a big reason why Bob Iger is like stepping in more now than he had before, is like the number one thing is to keep the company afloat and to not sell it off, right? For it to be acquired.
Yeah, I don't know. To me, as someone who's just gets pissed off a lot at Disney, kind of feels good seeing this happen, especially because, you know, for the past few years, you know, the mouse has just been waving its dick around like, I'm buying you, I'm buying you, I'm buying you, oh, I'm definitely buying you. I own everything and everything and everyone, and everyone can go fuck themselves. And it's like all that big spending, and then right at the point when they start to reap their rewards, coronavirus. And so now they're extremely weak, extremely in debt, and no end in sight for what'll happen. Hasn't there been talks that maybe they'll be bought out?
No, there've been rumors, there've been speculation.
Yeah,
but there's nothing
that's the
credible.
Same as talks, though.
There's nothing credible to suggest that that's going to happen.
Not yet.
If I were to put money on it, that's not going to happen.
Well, let's see how long this thing lasts. But yeah, I think a slightly weaker Disney is good for everyone. I'm gonna say it. So
I don't disagree with that. I mean, I've often felt that, from a creative standpoint, the money talked, and they didn't have to be. And, going forward, it's going to be a much different company, not just in terms of, movies, which we primarily discuss on this podcast, but also in terms of the parks, Alexis, or we talk about on Fantasy Fair, because I can just imagine there were a lot of things that were in development or about to be broken ground as far as expansions. And now that might be just called off altogether. And we don't know when, if and when, that might even happen anymore at the parks. I mean, I'll tell you one thing. All of us were going to go on a big Disney trip this month. And
next week.
And now it looks like we're never going to go.
I mean,
it's just...
I had many plans for this year.
Oh, yeah.
And all of them
Disney Cruise Line.
are just destroyed, kaput.
I like the one who hates Disney the most is doing the most of Disney this year.
Well, no, I did none of it.
But you were going to, you did none, but you were going to. That was the point.
No, I mean, I'm sad.
I'm sad.
I mean, for as much as like we don't, talking about Disney as this like, ether thing that we talk about, like, but I mean, Alexis, you actually do work for them. And I mean, just to talk frankly, it's scary. I mean, I'm just thinking about your perspective. It's like, you don't know what your future involving the company looks like.
Yeah.
Like, just considering how bad things get. And you really love that job.
It's sad because, like, yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen, and I feel like it took me a real, like, even if I'm not like I'm literally like the lowest employee, whatever, but like it took me a really long time to get here.
It did, yeah.
And so it's like, like I just don't know what's gonna happen, and yeah, that just sucks.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't even know. I think the big thing that they're trying to find a way to open up the parks pretty soon, but that's not going to happen.
No, I don't
and they shouldn't
think
even
so.
try. They shouldn't even fucking try, because I think that's just too big of a risk.
They're going to. They want it so bad. They need it so bad. Because
that's the thing. Like, they need it, and like it. Like, I know that it looks bad, but like this is their income. I get both sides, and like I feel like I can't really like say much on it, because I'm both on the side like, well, maybe you shouldn't, because it, like, look at where we are, but at the same time I'm like, I want to go, like, I don't know, like, not like go, but like, I don't know. Like, I don't know.
I think everyone is just feeling, it's feeling to the point where all of this pent up anticipation is growing. And also from a business standpoint, the sooner they get those parks up and running, the better it is for their pocketbook. I mean, I get it all, but if the plan is as simple as, we're just going to implement, taking your temperature and wearing a mask, that's going to end in disaster, I feel, because it's useless if many people are just asymptomatic. And masks, while they're now a requirement to wear in everyday life, they're still largely ineffective.
Yeah.
It's really just for, like, show.
And also, like, that's why I'm, like, gonna go back to, why aren't we stopping, like, all payments and stuff?
Why isn't the entire country on lockdown?
Yes.
That's the question.
That does not make sense to me. Because I feel maybe... the thing is, like, I don't know if that would work with companies like Disney. Like, are they... Like, does that include them also? You know what I mean? Or would it not include them? Because they're so big?
Parks cannot open anytime soon.
They can't.
They can't, because it is thousands upon thousands of people from
No.
all over the world.
I'm not saying to open. I'm saying to shut down every payment thing. Like,
oh yeah, I mean, we could, but we won't. And you can
Welcome to America.
Yeah, that's some kind of the United States in a nutshell. We could, but we won't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
even in an emergency like this, that's just the reality of it. And the big question at the heart of all of this is, you know, when is this all going to be over? I mean, the answer has always been nobody knows. I think it just changes week to week. I think when the pandemic was first declared here in the U.S., people were saying
April.
Early June would be when things would go back to normal. I think the safe bet is late July, early August. Late August is when things can reopen, if anything. But like,
not entirely.
June, that's why they moved. Today Disney moved Soul. A lot of movies have been moved out of
I feel like
May.
Everything's been moved to November.
Not everything. For whatever reason, Disney still has Mulan opening in July. I don't know. That's not happening. WB still has Christopher Nolan's Tenet opening in July. That's not happening.
I don't remember. I think it was Christmas when Dune was supposed to come out.
I think it's still going to come out.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. No, they haven't changed it. The release date, but that's why I'm saying, yeah.
It's just, I mean, when do you think? What's the best like conservative estimate that August is when things will start to get back to a little bit of normal?
I would say August, if we're looking at best estimates. But are we on April, June, July?
Are we like we're in mid-April right now? We're getting close to mid-April.
That's a long time.
It is a long time, but I mean, there is light at the end of the tunnel because China's opened up again
every day, little by little. They're reopening.
Mm-hmm.
Not only them, but South Korea is opening up. Even though things are still pretty bad, Italy is slowly turning around. Slowly, but they are turning around.
But how long did it take them?
Well, they're not done yet. There's still, people are dying, people are getting sick. I mean, they're not done. But with China, 4 months, I think, right?
4 months. But you got to remember, China employed extreme measures.
Yeah.
And we will not employ them just because we're not as authoritarian as China yet. So it'll be longer, maybe 5-6 months.
So let's say once upon a time this could have ended by late June, but because we're the U.S., late August is the conservative estimate, I think.
And then didn't they say that they think it's going to come back during the winter? So
I mean, a lot of things could happen. And I think that's just the nature of this virus, is that there's just too many things we don't know about it. Like the list of symptoms alone can range drastically. The effects that it can have on your body drastically. And we used to think in the early days that it was just older people. Some people called it boomer remover. But like it's kind of random. Either you're asymptomatic, you're a mild case, or it's killing you. Or it's beating you bad, but you barely beat it, and then you have like long-term lung damage, heart damage.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I saw somebody post about a friend. It was like somebody famous. It wasn't like anybody that I know. But they tested positive and they got like, they had it like really bad. Like they went to the hospital and stuff, and something happened where like the blood wasn't flowing to his leg and he had to get like emergency surgery. Like it's just like wild.
He wasn't amputated, was he?
I haven't read like any updates, but
oh god,
like
I mean, we're just hearing a lot of horror stories. I mean, but it's like it's gotten to a point where even though we saw it coming, but like one of the most extreme examples, to the world is Prime Minister Boris Johnson, who was literally in the ICU for a week. Like,
yeah.
Like, that shit's bad. Like, imagine a situation where, like, we have world leaders who are succumbing to this. Like, this is...
And, like,
if you
crazy.
think that's bad, I mean, he got better.
He improved. He improved. No, I mean, he's recovering as we speak.
I know,
but, I mean,
that sucks.
But I feel like...
And, like, it sucks that, like, we don't even know how, because I have my uncle's sister, her and her husband are both doctors, and they said that once you get, like, tubed up, they can't really do anything because they don't know what to do. So it's like, it's crazy.
You just kind of have to, they can't really treat you or give you
because there's no treatment.
Yeah.
There still is no treatment for this. Like, from what I understand is, like, you have to ride this out as if it were a flu. The problem is, this is no flu. This is like torrential downpour on your fucking immune system. Like, and again, we're still in the early stages of it, that there's no treatment. Don't even think there's a cure or a vaccine anytime soon. The best thing we can do is some kind of a treatment of some sort, but then again, that's getting the medical stuff. But, you know, the sad thing from what I've seen is our medical workers, and especially here in America, a lot of companies, hospitals, insurance companies, of course, have been putting their lives at risk and even mandating they go to work without having any kind of protective gear on. We've had threats of, you know, strikes, protests in the middle of a fucking pandemic.
That's wild.
Like, we talked about earlier, how some corporations were, you know, doing nice things. This is the worst. Like, honestly, they're mandating their fucking workers to work like cattle and then putting their fucking lives at risk. This shit is affecting every kind of aspect of life, as we mentioned earlier. So as far as, like, the parks, it ain't happening anytime soon. It's not. And then also, as far as, like, you know, going into movies, like, the big story that I read, and everyone's talking about it right now, is AMC Theaters is, you know, conversing with their lawyers as to how to go about filing for bankruptcy. I was reading somewhere that they, in the last few years, they invested so much money to refurbish their theaters and to also install the AMC Stubs program, that as a result of it, there were $5 billion in debt. And only just this year was the Stubs program beginning to turn a profit. But the timing was so catastrophic for AMC, it is all but guaranteed they're going to be going under. So I think the question is, who comes to the rescue? Because the institution, as far as, like, movie theaters, I would have to assume that some big conglomerate or some of the studios themselves have a huge stake in keeping AMC Theaters afloat, because that's where they get their money from. And AMC is the largest theater company in America. If those theaters don't reopen, how are the movie studios going to make any money? Like, Peter, I want to go to you first. What do you think can be done about this?
Literally nothing. As far as, like, the theater chains, nothing.
It's done.
Unless they get some bailout money, which I think they should get some bailout money. But that's just me talking. I mean, there's what can you do? What can you just can't. There's nothing you can do. But as far as, like, releasing films at home, like straight to digital, while the Trolls movie made a lot of money doing that, you gotta remember, for most movies, they make their money in theaters, and then they make their money for the online purchases and Blu-rays and all that. With this one, you don't have that. You don't have the theater and then the bump of online. You just have the online. So even if you're maybe making more money, I wonder if it's still not as much in the long run because you don't have that second bump of purchases online.
Let me be clear about something first. The Trolls World Tour premiere was still underneath the projections of what they had hoped it would do at home. They made like around $29 million dollars, you know, in its release as a straight to VOD release, Trolls World Tour, and even that was still dramatically lower than the $50 million opening that it did at the box office. The first movie, anyway, the first Trolls movie. I think that the general rule of thumb for people who are not aware is if you made a movie to be released in the theater and you're like going straight to VOD, no matter how much money you make, including Trolls World Tour, you're still losing money.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying if they can go back to movie theaters, they will.
But I'm saying there's so much more money to be made at the theater that I feel like they're going to have to step in and help them. Because if they don't have any theaters open,
or
why are they going to make any movies?
And take advantage of them? This is a capitalist society now.
Right.
Maybe.
But I mean, if Disney hadn't bought Fox, they probably would have the money to buy AMC.
Right now, no, they don't, because they're struggling themselves. They have zero money to be spending right now. They need to be focusing on making money.
And one thing I don't think people are realizing is this: that if and when theaters do open back up, I would assume as you know, the rule was Disney movies would make the most of that money. No, Disney movies always make the most of that money. So I think that they would be in a better, as a studio, they would be in a better standing to make profits than the other studios combined. That's just the rule of thumb, right, for moviegoer audiences.
Completely. There are some exceptions, and I just want to throw this out there. Just release New Mutants online. Just do it. Put the poor film out of its misery.
For real.
Just put it out of its misery. It's had like 6 separate release dates.
It feels like this wounded dog that's been on life support for years and they just refuse to pull the plug.
Yeah, it's not hitting theaters. You're just gonna lose money doing that. Just please.
I never understood why they even bothered with a theatrical release. There's no interest, and even if there is, it's very niche. It's not gonna be a hit. It's not gonna make money, even if it was.
I think if they release it right now, it will make some money because nobody's
that's what I'm saying.
Doing anything. Everybody's gonna watch this movie because there's no other new movie to watch.
Yeah.
So it's like, just do it.
I feel like they'd make more money just releasing it online now than they would waiting and putting it in theaters.
And they could charge like $30 even, and people might even buy it.
Mm-hmm. Even like Artemis Fowl, which they're just doing on Disney Plus. Mm-hmm. Like even like that movie, I think that they should do it not on Disney Plus first, just to make something.
No one cares
just
about
to make
Artemis
something.
Fowl. I don't think anyone will buy Artemis Fowl.
You don't know that. People are bored.
But I think the bigger question.
Alexis watched friggin' The Reef or whatever it's called.
Dolphin Reef.
Let me tell you something.
I didn't pay any money for it though. I mean, I didn't pay any.
I'd rather watch Dolphin Reef than fucking Artemis Fowl.
But there are some people that are going to watch it.
The cinematography was beautiful. It was a beautiful reef. The Dolphin Reef.
If anyone watches it, it's because it's free on Disney Plus. No one's paying paying $20.
But then again, the question is, let's say a movie that will attract interest, like New Mutants, I think is great. Just put it on VOD. But then again, there are bigger movies like Soul, Black Widow, and Mulan. Those movies have been given new release dates, but do you see any chance that I don't, but any chance that those big movies are just going to be dumped on VOD?
No.
I don't those are their 3 biggest films of the year left, right? Like
if this goes on for a really long time and like Disney gets desperate, maybe. But
if, let's say, August, they're back up and running, if everything is back to a good place by August, they're going to go ahead with Black Widow, I think, in November, and then all the movies that are at the end of the year. But there's also another component to this, and that is, let's just say August, It's okay to go outside. Does that guarantee people are going to go straight to the movies? I don't think so.
People are going to be scared. People are still going to be sort of touch and go, so to speak, as far as what they'll do and where they'll go and how they'll spend their money. And also,
nobody's
a lot
gonna
of
have
people,
money to spend.
yeah, no one's going to have any money because a lot of people are going to be unemployed.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, it's bad enough this pandemic, but there's also the upcoming recession that'll hit immediately after. It's scary because I worry about not just like in terms of like, the theaters and Disney, but it's just like, what about us? Like there's like the pandemic will end and we're going to go back, but like what's going to happen to all our us, like as far as like our incomes, our jobs, like it's just so unpredictable. Like, I mean, to me, all I want at this point is for a slightest bit of guarantee that we're going to get through this. And I think we are, and I think we're seeing a lot of signs that we are going to get through it. It's just what's so uncertain is
the outcome.
How is it going to look like when we go back? And then, Peter, do you think that this whole situation, does that guarantee the end of movie theaters?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't think so, because if this was signaling the end of movie theaters, I would already have watched Mulan.
Yeah.
I would have, like, this shit would just be going to, like, there would be no if, and, or buts. But the reason why a lot of these are just moving dates and not dumping them online is because they believe movie theaters make them more money. And if they believe movie theaters make them more money, movie theaters will stick around. So currently, no.
I was watching, our good friend John Campia today, Peter, and he was saying that he had some friends at Universal that told him that the higher-ups were not ultimately happy with how Trolls performed over the weekend.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What did they expect?
It's not what they were hoping.
What were they expecting?
I don't know. I mean, it did reasonably well considering it's a VOD release. I mean, $27 million is that, but it's like, I think they had higher expectations for what it would do. It seems like, anyway.
I think with releasing it, how they're doing it, I think it's gonna take a longer process. Like, I don't think it's gonna be counting like immediate weekend anymore. I think it should, like, it's gonna be like more time for it to actually like, okay, this is a successful movie. You know what I mean?
It might be that way.
Because
yeah.
Well, like, we're like in unknown territory now, but
yeah.
I don't think that you can look at things the same way as releasing.
No,
it.
you really can't,
Yeah.
and we can't look at nothing the same way.
Yeah.
It's just we're at the point where we're just improvising, and we can just hope for the best. But it's just, while there's pluses and minuses. I'm happy that I'm getting the opportunity to watch all this great content that I hadn't before, and we can record and we can podcast with each other. But it's just, I do miss my life, though. That's the thing. I do miss, my work and people and feeling productive and feeling like, and being able to go places. And it's just been so uprooted. And the ramifications for what this cost me, I'm basically out of work until the fall at this point because of what I do. And, well, there goes everything. So this isn't an easy thing. And I think even still, we're getting the better of it because we're not sick or dying, which is the worst case scenario right now. Yeah, one thing's for sure is for however long we continue to exist as a civilization, however long we continue to live, we're never going to forget this year, even though it is going to be called the lost year because, like, everything was fucking canceled. But shit, like...
Including the people canceled.
Yeah. So I don't know. Ultimately, the question is, what's going to happen with movie theaters? I think there's reason to be optimistic that something or someone will step in because there's just too much money that will be lost if AMC just is gone and those theaters are demolished or they just are abandoned. Like, I just don't see that happening yet. Again, we'll have to see how this develops. But I think really the studios are not, I feel, going to let AMC just go away. If they are in a position to do something to help, I think they will. If not, there are other parties. I mean, again, we do live in this fucking like late stage capitalist, conglomerates like Amazon they own everything now. I mean, they could step in. Apple could step in if they're not busy trying to purchase Disney. So it's just sad again and again and again. Like, something is so like cherished to us as movie theaters. We have to pray and hope that a fucking conglomerate can come in and purchase them. And we can't like look at fucking antitrust laws or like some kind of a trust fund from the government to help out this situation. It's just so ridiculous to me.
What happens if Apple buys Disney?
I mean, what does happen? Does anything really change? I don't think much will change. I think
Apple, a lot will change.
I mean, from an operation standpoint, from a creative standpoint,
all of the above.
What do you think? What do you think will happen if Apple buys Disney?
For one, everyone in every Disney film will be holding an Apple phone, and it will very much be shown on screen.
That's like every Sony movie already.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
I mean, we got that already.
There'll be a lot of cross. How do you put it? Synergy.
I mean, I don't know. If anybody was gonna buy Disney, I would like it to be Apple because they've worked together in the past.
I would like Disney to be not bought but broken up.
Well, I mean, Apple basically made Pixar, so...
Was it Apple or was it Steve Jobs?
He is Apple.
Let's not get there right now, guys. The point is, if you're... I don't know, I think there would be reasons for there to be some excitement from a creative standpoint if Apple purchased Disney. Because maybe they could, take the company in terms of like the movies in a more interesting direction.
I doubt
maybe
it.
They could. Okay, then, well, we're fucked. I mean, I'm just trying to paint a broad brush here with some kind of positivity, Peter.
No,
I don't know.
There is no positivity.
Okay. Because, I mean, if Disney stays the course, like I already thought that this decade was going to be a decline for Disney in general, but this kind of exacerbates that. I'd like to think that if Apple bought them, they would take like, well, I mean, they have the money to do it, but it's also like it's kind of like Amazon buying AMC Theaters. Like, why would they bother with it, right? Like, Amazon and Apple are such like entities in and of themselves. They could, and they probably do good things with it, but if you buy, like, let's say if Amazon purchased AMC Theaters, they'd probably lose money for the first few years. And that's just how everything goes. And at a time when there was like a recession after a pandemic, like, I don't know. I also just don't see Disney letting, until like, unless they're at a breaking point, I don't see themselves like agreeing to be bought out.
Well,
unless they're at a breaking point.
It's never up to them. It's the investors. The investors will sell their stock to Apple. So again, what they have to do is make the investors happy. And the only way to do that is to make money. And if they're not making money, hello, Daddy Apple.
I don't know, Peter. It seemed like you thought it was a good thing that Apple would buy Disney, but because you were smiling at it.
I think it's hilarious, but I think it's like, everyone blows up and dies. Hilarious. It's not a good thing.
I don't know what to say to that. I mean, I guess that's just how we'll close the show. Everybody will blow up and die. Can somebody think of a non-bleak way to end the episode? Because I'm out of ideas here.
Take it away, Moreno.
What?
Oh yeah, so Fantasy Fair, they got some fun content going up on there pretty soon, right? So right now there's a Pixar ranked show, but pretty soon there's going to be a ranked episode with the Disney princess movies. Which I don't know, it seemed like everybody was kind of done by the end of that recording.
I want to do the list that Peter's doing.
Oh, that's going to be a massive series. That will not take an episode
2 parts
to do. 3 or 4 parters maybe. That's a long list of episodes.
We have the time.
That's 58 films.
Yeah. How do you? I don't know how. We'll discuss it behind the scenes. We'll discuss. Right. We'll see how that goes. And then also we'll do weekly.
I'm doing tiers, not list. You know what I mean?
I yes, there's a distinction there. I get what you're saying. Mm-hmm. Tiers, not lists, but still, a show will be made at some point, I assume, and then we'll do it. As far as Red Spotlight is concerned, we have endless audio commentaries coming your way. Here on the feed, if not on YouTube, we got one on Into the Spider-Verse, Last Jedi. We did one with The Rise of Skywalker, which, I gotta be honest, that was a more depressing show than this. So that was, that should tell you something.
Rise of Skywalker was my coronavirus.
And then, to brighten things up, we'll also be having a commentary on Knives Out. So that should also be going up on, and Cats. That's in development with a surprise guest.
The guest better not be Kyle Lira.
I mean, I don't know what I can tell you, Peter. I don't know what there even is to say. But, yeah, those are our shows. At some point, we're going to get back to the table. I have a list of movies that Peter gave me, and at some point I will, assumedly, begin to watch them. So we can record to the tables.
I know. That's what I need you guys to do. Like, make me watch movies, because I just keep watching the same ones, because I get lazy to look for new ones.
I could send you a list.
Yeah. He could send you some for To the Table.
We could do those, technically speaking.
I've literally watched all of Disney Plus, like 5 times.
Well,
all of Disney
yeah,
Plus.
you really have. Yeah.
I'm watching, what's it called? The Diary of a Future President or something?
Oh.
The Disney Plus series?
Yeah.
I'm watching the cooking show that they keep. I'm literally watching all of. Oh, I'm watching Dance Moms.
So you need to watch 90 Day Fiancé. That's what you need to watch.
Oh no. I've been watching like the YouTube stuff. Like the stuff that they have. No, I can't.
It's good.
With Big Ed.
I forgot to mention.
No,
Alexis and I
downloaded the Food Network app.
Oh, why? That's when you know you've hit rock bottom.
Okay.
The Food Network app?
Yeah.
Well, I think rock bottom would be the HGTV app.
I almost did. It's just like, I feel like with movies, I have too many options, and then I get overwhelmed because I don't know which one to pick first.
Yeah, it's almost like, I'm telling you, it's almost like you need a goal.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's weird. But if you have all the options, it's like, well, do I want to see that, or I could see this?
Well, that's kind of what I'm doing, because my goal is to watch all the Spielberg movies now. That way I have a certain set that I have to watch. I have to make myself think of like I'm working to something, you know?
Give Moreno a goal.
Well, we're gonna keep doing commentaries. I think at some point we had guaranteed that you and I, Moreno, are gonna be doing Casablanca and La La Land, right?
Mm-hmm.
So those will be coming there pretty soon.
How about this? Send us a list of all the films you've wanted to see but you've never seen.
Okay.
You have Letterboxd, right? Why don't you just like look at our lists of films, all the films that we've seen?
Okay, I'll do that.
Or I don't know. I could
and
just
send you the list
spend
to
like
see
a good
which
hour.
ones to watch first. Or...
Well, I could send you an hour. I could spend an hour just like thinking of movies you might like.
Well, I feel like I can do that so easy with like Kyle and Alexis, but with Moreno, I don't know.
I will say,
I feel like I am not as picky as.
Well,
you're harder to nail down. Of what
you have an
would
interesting
like.
range, though.
Yeah.
Like
So that's why you literally can give me anything and I'll watch it.
The movies you had for the decade, that was a pretty interesting list.
Yeah, but
you had movies like Whiplash and Spotlight on there.
I feel like I can look at a film and I'll know to a T whether Kyle or Alexis would like it.
For example, who do you think would love What We Do in the Shadows the most? That's definitely a Kyle movie.
That's a Kyle movie for sure.
Who do you think would like, I don't know, any like political movie the most? An Alexis movie. Like it's pretty obvious what we like.
Two, maybe. Yeah. It depends. I don't know. Like
that's what I mean. It depends,
yeah.
but I don't. But I never know what it depends on. It's different every time. So
okay,
it's like...
did you like the Rocky Horror Picture Show, Alexis?
Yes.
See, that's way out there. Okay, what about yeah, but you also like Spotlight and Moonlight and Arrival. Those are pretty hardcore film like digest movies there. What about Annihilation, Peter?
I already saw it.
Annihilation? You did? Oh, okay.
Did you like it?
Yeah.
Okay.
She also liked Dr. Sleep. So,
have you seen? See, I like these films, but I don't know if she would like it. Like, have you seen Ready or Not?
No. Like, is it like a scary movie?
It is and it's not.
It's like
it's a
scary comedy.
Oh, okay.
It's on our Vudu. If you want to see it, our digital locker.
Yeah.
I also upgraded to the 4K version of Lawrence of Arabia. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Oh yeah, I saw it up there.
I think I told you about it. That I was like, what is
it? Oh my god, it looked amazing. That 4K restoration of that movie. Oh my god.
I want to watch like. I mean, I don't know if you guys like watch any of them, but like black and white movies, like old movies.
Yeah.
I guess what.
Yeah.
I have a subscription to Criterion.
I was like, I can't like find any. Like I was trying to look on like Amazon and stuff, and like the only one that I haven't seen that I like maybe might watch is like what is it called? African Queen? No.
What about?
Oh yeah, African Queen.
Yeah, like that's the only one because like they have like all of the Audrey Hepburn movies, but I've already seen all of those, and like the Grace Kelly movies, which I've already seen. So it's like nothing that like I haven't seen.
I can give you the login.
One of the Spielberg movies had the final performance by Audrey Hepburn. A romantic comedy called Always.
Oh, okay.
I never seen it. It's on my list, but like, that's not one people talk about in his filmography. But yeah,
she died fairly young, didn't she?
Yeah,
they all do, literally. That's a different show.
The brightest stars burn out the quickest.
Charlie Chaplin's Modern Times. Have you heard of that one, Alexis?
Yeah, I've already seen that one.
Oh, okay. What about like To Kill a Mockingbird?
I've actually never seen that one.
Okay. We have that one on Vudu, I think, right? To Kill a Mockingbird?
I don't have Vudu. I have the Movies Anywhere.
You do have the Vudu. It's the same password and login.
Oh, okay. Then I just haven't downloaded.
It's the exact same password and login. So for Voodoo has movies anywhere. So
like
it's
I
there.
even was like wanted to watch like don't tell Kyle. Kyle, sorry, don't listen to this. But like the Bond movies, because I literally.
Oh, he won't.
Don't
He won't
tell
listen
him.
to this.
Don't tell him.
No,
Oh
I
God.
won't.
He won't
Don't
listen
tell
to
him.
this.
I
Don't
won't.
worry. He will never listen to this.
God.
But like, because I literally like I don't know, because like I said, there's too many options, and I just like my brain can't handle it.
Never tell
I
him.
love Peter's reaction. Like, don't tell him. 'Cause-
No.
You know, it's interesting. For like how he went out of his way to purchase like the digital versions of those movies. I just discovered that on Amazon Prime, they have literally all the old movies on like 4K.
Yeah, and they have some of them on Hulu too.
Uh-huh.
He was just impatient.
Wait, did he buy like the physical copies?
Both.
He bought both, but separately. So
Originally, years ago, he purchased the box set, but he didn't get the digital versions. And then recently, he just bought it again with the digital versions.
yeah, he bought the box set again with the digital version.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
that's why he's working 5 days a week.
Yeah, he can afford
don't
it.
worry, man.
Yeah.
He'll
Not-
never hear
not
this shit.
same.
He's never going to hear this episode. I don't even know the last time he's even bothered to listen to one of our podcasts.
Watch
but
him listen
like,
to this one. Just this
I know,
one.
right? Of course. Our fucking luck.
Kyle, you bitch.
Never finished Breaking Bad.
I know.
I mean,
Ugh. Have you seen Breaking Bad?
Not all of it, but I've seen like the ending. Cause my dad and my brother, when the last episode aired, they had 2 TVs in the living room. One was to watch like I think it's baseball or something, and then the other one was to watch Breaking Bad. To watch because they aired like all the episodes, so I would like go down and like watch it, and then like Sons of Anarchy also I did the same.
I don't know if you'd like Better Call Saul better though.
I saw the
That's a
first
great show.
episode, and
The first episode is nothing to what that show gets. Like it gets really great.
The
like,
show is
season.
slow.
It's slow though, but then again, so is Breaking Bad though. Like I think all of Vince Gilligan's work is pretty slow.
Yeah, what happens is it takes a while to get going, but once it starts going, it goes.
Yeah,
I
well,
feel,
like with
'cause I feel
Breaking
like-
Bad, like I did watch like most of the first season, and I just didn't continue because I don't know why I didn't, but like I did like the first season.
Yeah.
You know.
I think that's like the least great season of that show, right?
Well, it's so slow. It's not until like the second season this shit start to like hit the ground running, and then by the third season, like you're all in. Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna be here all year, huh?
Yeah. Fun.
Yeah. Oh god. Oh boy. Yep. At this point, if there are no more recommendations or TV shows,
you know what we should do when we do the audio commentary? We should have Kyle bring us pizza.
I can't. Far.
You mean for any of them or one in particular?
What do you mean?
Or you mean in general when we do the next audio commentary, you want for Kyle to bring us pizza?
Yeah.
That would be hilarious.
Just to
But,
have
like,
him bring us pizza.
Yeah, I mean, we could like. He's never offered us any though. He's never like given us any kind of like special or discounts.
That's
He doesn't care.
No friendship discounts, nothing.
No.
No. Ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Unless we called and we I don't know. No, I won't even say it. That's gonna be awful. But if that's the case, well, we'll hunker down. We'll be back in a week. We'll have plenty of commentaries. I want to tease the commentary that we did with Into the Spider-Verse. Me and David did that one. Oh my God, I really loved our discussion, and I gotta be honest with you, that was like the most emotional I've ever.
I know
I've
he
ever
was
seen your
telling
brother.
me about it, and I was like, "Dang."
He got really deep with it, like, and I was like, honestly, I loved the movie before, but like, I gained a new appreciation for that film while like experiencing it with him. Like, it's so great. Like, he's
Y'all
Peter-
are nothing but fucking waterworks. Like
I didn't cry like when he said
no,
that.
no,
Like,
no.
I'm not saying he was crying, but he was getting emotional.
Okay,
When does David get emotional? When does David get emotional?
All I'm saying is, like, I've been when the audio commentaries, quote unquote premiere, I've been popping in to listen to a little bit of them, and I feel like every time I pop in, someone's fucking crying. Like, I popped in at the end of that Onward audio commentary.
Okay,
Jesus
but, like,
Christ.
obviously, you know this. You experienced it already. You should have known.
No, but I gotta be honest though. I was there, and even I was surprised. Kyle was like literally weeping. Like, okay, come on.
I was like, oh my god. It was a whole thing, but yeah.
That wasn't the only one, I think.
No, it wasn't.
Oh,
Yeah, I think
the attraction one. I cried in that one.
Oh yeah, you did. No, you cried at two. No, wait. Oh yeah, you cried because of Paint the Night. Yeah, she had like this emotional breakdown because, the Paint the Night parade is when she had like this big like revelatory like experience about what she wanted to do with her career and everything with Disney, and it was like wow. Yeah, we've broken down several times.
Yeah.
I think I was the closest I came to like crying was when we were talking about that scene where Cap sees Peggy back in the past in Endgame.
Uh-huh.
That's where I almost like.
Oh, don't worry. I popped in for that one too.
Did you? Oh, that's wonderful. Did you pop in for The Last Jedi? It premiered today at the date of this recording.
No. I haven't heard it.
It's funny because Alexys Moreno, like, she threw more shade at JJ than I did in that commentary from the beginning.
Y'all are JJ haters.
I forgot what I said something, but that was like really mean. But
We talked about one of my favorite scenes in The Last Jedi was when Rey was being taught what the Force is by Luke.
Mm-hmm.
And what Alexis said was that, wow, that's like Ryan telling J.J. Abrams what Star Wars means.
Y'all are haters. Harsh.
You got mean a little bit. Yeah, I got a little bit mean.
That's the thing. I feel like I've been the harshest on JJ, but like, I'm still like, yeah, JJ's a good guy. I just don't like some of his work. But you guys are like, this is fuck JJ. I don't know.
It's not necessarily J.J. Abrams. It's just what he represents. That's the problem. And his way of thinking is just the issue in terms of like how he views Star Wars to be. And again, that's up to anybody's interpretation, but like that's just not how we see Star Wars as.
I think that's why I despise Ready Player One. I hate that.
That wasn't
film.
even a bad movie.
But
it's
what it represents.
Yeah.
It's like this really weird gatekeeping nerd shit where it's like all of nerddom is reduced to how many references you know off the top of your head, how many you understand, and like you're a piece of shit if you don't. And then of course they have like the main girl where she's like, I'm ugly, and like she has her red tint to her skin on one eye, and it's like, you're a model besides that? Like, go fuck yourself. Like,
I hadn't realized it, but you're so right. Like, I think now that I'm thinking about it, for the commentaries that we've done so far, at least with Moreno, me, Kyle, and David, we've all kind of cried, I think.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh boy.
Maybe that's where we're letting all of our emotions out during this whole thing.
Yeah. I mean, we've always said that this podcast was just, cathartic for us, therapy in a way.
But it just kind of hurts because I'm not the reason you guys are crying. So
Oh my god.
That's my job, and it's being fulfilled without me there. It's not right.
So, are we going to make this Tiana commentary happen or not?
It's up to you. I don't know what you're talking about.
Because, I mean, we all really love The Princess and the Frog, and that's one I really want to do.
Yeah, maybe I'll cry at that one. Tiana means so much to me.
Oh, but we talked about doing a double commentary with The Shining and Dr. Sleep.
Oh shit, that's long.
I'm not saying in one sitting, but I mean like whenever we get to do them. No, not fuck that shit. That's no. We're not doing that. But like, you know, I'm just trying to think. Like, I think why I love doing the commentaries is that we get to watch these movies. It's so rare that we actually get to see them together. You know, like we've seen them all, but like together, it hasn't happened as much, especially now since movie theaters are gone.
I saw a movie, like went to the movies to go watch a movie with you guys.
I think it was Last Jedi.
Oh,
no,
shit.
I didn't watch
it. It had to have been Last Jedi.
I didn't watch The Last Jedi with you guys.
No, she didn't. I don't know. Technically, this wasn't the last time we saw a movie together, but the call after Beauty and the Beast was an experience.
That was an experience.
Was that the last one? No, because we saw La La Land.
We didn't see it all together. We were in different locations.
True.
We were in San Diego. They were in Raleigh. Coco.
I didn't know.
Oh, but you weren't there.
Oh, but David was there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why it was weird.
Rogue One.
It can't be fucking Rogue One. Where it was Peter, Kyle, me, and you, right?
Wait, which came out for? Okay, I remember watching Rogue One with you guys. I remember watching Suicide Squad, Justice League.
Yeah, Suicide Squad came out first.
I don't think
Rogue
we
One.
saw Justice League.
No, I don't think so either.
Oh no! I didn't see Justice League with anybody. I was by myself, and it was pretty bad enough as it was.
I think it was Rogue One.
Oh my god,
that's together.
Oh my god, wow.
It's kind of a while ago.
Yeah, maybe I don't think we'll get that chance again. We'll see.
We'll see. In some strange way, us doing the commentaries together has kind of like been like a supplement for not going to a theater, and us being able to talk over it is also a benefit too. So looking forward to Knives Out. If there's no other comments, we can go ahead and close off the show.
Yeah.
Thank you all for listening. Thank you guys for being here. Peter, Alexis, this was a great show. I loved talking with you guys. And speaking of, other times, I don't think, has there ever been a podcast in our whole history where it's just been the three of us, like this particular group, to do a podcast with no Kyle and no David or anybody else?
I don't think so.
It's weird. And also, I think the biggest gift is that we get to have Alexis back in our lives in some way, because she hasn't been on the podcasts as a regular function in like even longer than Rogue One, I feel. So.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Moreno, remind me, like a couple years ago, I had gotten pins from Hot Topic. And I was able to get a free one, and I got the Toad character from
Mr. Toad?
the Dragon Prince, the show.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, Moreno likes the show. I'll just give it to her. And then when we're going to Disney, I was like, oh, when we go to Disney, I'll just give it to her. But we're not going. So like. In 5 years, when we eventually all go to Disney,
I think it's like New Mutants at this point.
It's like
just like ship the damn thing. Just ship it.
No, I have to wait until I have to be like Disney and stubbornly wait until the coronavirus.
Have you guys watched that show?
I saw the first season. I haven't seen the second season.
Oh, have you guys watched oh crap. Oh my god, I had it. The Dark Crystal?
The Dark Knight? Oh.
That's a movie.
Oh, the show?
Yeah.
The Dark Crystal show?
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Did you watch it?
I love it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
I binged it. It's
Me
awesome.
Too. It's so good. Honestly, I think I hadn't, before that one, like the one that I got excited for was, The Haunting at Hill House.
Yeah.
And then I watched that one like when it came out, and it's so good.
Mm-hmm. I think it's like the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance.
Mm-hmm.
I recommended it to Alexis, but I think he was mad at the time and told me to go fuck myself.
Go watch it.
I never denied its greatness, and there's great people working on those shows. I just I have some sore feelings about how certain things ended up going in past projects in which I'm not going to entertain any more TV recommendations.
So what happens is,
oh God,
I make Alexis
Can we stop
mad
recording?
for
Can we stop recording?
some reason, and then he will, on purpose, vindictively not watch certain things, even though he knows he will enjoy them, just because I recommended it to him. This is the equivalent of like stabbing himself in the face to try and hurt me.
I mean, I just feel like if I and what I have to offer is not being taken seriously, why should I reciprocate the feeling? You see, it's like, you know, you give off a whole bunch of recommendations the other day. Okay, I guess we're talking about this now. But the other day, you're like throwing out like these recommendations on the chat, and then like, well, yeah, I recommend Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. season 6. Where's that, Peter? And you're like, well, oh shit, never mind. I'll back off. And it's like, okay, yeah, because that's been out for almost a fucking year. And no, I don't blame Alexis because she doesn't like the show to begin with, but like Peter and Kyle do, and like, okay, nothing.
If I watch it, will you then watch everything I recommend you?
I'm at a point where, you know what, I'd rather not have you even watch it, because then I'm gonna have to hear like
tear that shit apart.
Well, because inevitably, like though your whole you need to understand that it's like the things that you say sometimes just confound me. Mm-hmm. Like I wanted to explode the things that you said about Frozen 2. I was.
Can I say something? Okay, so Peter, I don't think I said this in that group chat, but somebody on Twitter, or I think it was like Tumblr, but then they posted it on Twitter. They were crapping on Lilo and Stitch.
Oh, I saw that.
Oh,
Yeah.
My hands were shaking from how angry I was, and I think I sent the text to like the Fantasy Fair one, and I asked David like if he had read it, and he's like, I had to stop, I was getting really mad. And then I talked about like the podcast that we did about the princess, and then I told him what you were saying, and he's like, no. And I was like, how I felt when I read the Lilo and the Stitch thing is how I felt when you were talking about Frozen 2. And he's like, yeah.
Fuck Frozen 2.
Speaking of Frozen 2, David just actually purchased the physical Target version. It's a beautiful, beautiful art on that Blu-ray.
I guess I'm going to be alone in my island when it comes to that film, because Jesus Christ.
I mean, to be fair, like there are people who don't like that movie either, but not for the reasons that you said. It seems like
I've heard like, oh, there's too many songs. Like Olaf is annoying. Why is Kristoff in it? Like I've heard those, but like what you said, I was just like, oh,
because I speak truth. Yeah. I speak truth.
But I feel like I was nice to you, even.
You were kind. I wouldn't have even asked the question because I knew it was going to go to some weird place, and lo and behold, that's where it went.
Weird. Okay, it's directly within the text. Okay. I would say Frozen 2 commentary, but I wasn't invited, so I can't say anything.
Why do you think that was?
I know why that was.
I even asked Kyle in the middle of the recording why it was that he didn't invite you, and what did he say? He didn't want to?
I don't know.
Well, I know, because for some reason both you and Kyle get scared at having me there at some of these.
You've already been in some of the commentaries, like Infinity War and Endgame. Mm-hmm. You have already had entire shows where you talk the majority of the time. Let somebody else have the mic, which is why I gave it to Alexis and David to give their thoughts on those movies.
But I haven't had an opportunity to give my thoughts on Frozen 2 on any of our formats.
Yeah,
that's true.
Is that true?
Yeah, except for the last one.
Well, that
where
wasn't
I
out
would
of
shout
spite.
it down.
That wasn't out of spite. It was because when we did the reviews, you hadn't seen the movie. So
Oh, that's true. Too.
if you had,
That's
yeah,
true.
Yeah, but I had seen it by the time you did the commentaries.
Okay. I guess we have to have a whole show with you talking about Frozen 2 now. Is that what you're saying?
I think at this point we have to have a show in which I berate the film, and then you guys have to agree. I think it's only fair at this point.
Oh my god. Jesus fucking Christ. It's just a reminder that, there's rarely a time where all of us agree on something. And I think it says something about how bad Rise of Skywalker was that we all were like, no, this thing's trash.
I don't like that movie.
I don't either.
I just really don't.
And it's funny because, when a movie is just bad, when the commentary that we did on that movie, we were just talking over. We weren't even paying attention, I feel. We were just, talking past it. Because, whereas, I can speak for all the other commentaries that we did, like with Endgame or Last Jedi or Little Mermaid.
We would stop at times.
Because the movie would, suck us in, right? But no.
There's nothing to engage with in that film. I forget so much of what happens in that film until I watch it again, and it's like, oh yeah, that was in the film. I guess. All right, we can end now.
Okay, well, thank you guys for listening. Thank you, Peter and Alexis, for being here. We have podcasts coming up every single Sunday and Thursday on Red Spotlight, more audio commentaries of which I've teased already, and then also Fantasy Fair coming along your way. Maybe even some To the Tables. We're going to be here a long time, but I want to thank you all for listening. Stay under the spotlight. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.